Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that's absolutely crucial for any wireless technician out there: hunting down radio frequency interference, or RFI. We're going to be looking at some of the newest, and believe it or not, some of the oldest culprits causing all sorts of chaos on your networks.
So, just so you know where we are, we're continuing our deep dive into this really comprehensive guide from RFI Detectives. They're a part of Virtualization Options LLC. This is part 3 of a big 20-part series, and it's all based on their super detailed report on radio frequency interference.
Specifically, today we're zeroing in on Chapter 3, and this chapter, it tackles a whole new wave of interference sources that you are probably seeing more and more out in the field. We're talking IoT devices and those pesky legacy systems.
Now, if you're a wireless tech, you know the 2.4 gigahertz band is a constant battleground. But listen, the battlefield is getting so much more crowded. And the old rules of engagement, the ones you're used to, yeah, you can pretty much throw those out the window now. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the usual suspects, the ones you already know, the ones that have been dominating the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum for years.
You know, for a long time, the main challenge was just managing these two giants. You've got your high-bandwidth Wi-Fi, which is always susceptible to co-channel interference, basically, getting drowned out by other Wi-Fi networks on the same channel. And then you have Bluetooth, which is actually pretty clever. It uses frequency hopping to quickly jump between channels and avoid getting stomped on. But some very different guests have now arrived at the party.
First up, the new contenders. We're talking about the absolute explosion of tiny, low-power devices we call the Internet of Things, or IoT. And believe me, this is a real game changer. A major player in this whole IoT space is something called Zigbee. Now, as the RFI Detectives Guide points out, its entire design philosophy is totally different from Wi-Fi. It's built on the IEEE 802.15.4 standard, and that's all about low-rate wireless personal area networks. So think small, local networks of devices that don't need a ton of speed.
So here's what's really fascinating about this. It's the nature of the noise it creates. See, these devices are built for extremely low power and really low data rates. They form these huge, robust mesh networks. So you have to picture it. They're not shouting like a Wi-Fi router. No, it's more like they're all whispering and passing notes to each other. But there are tons of them doing it at once. And that creates a very different and often much harder to detect kind of noise floor.
But it's not just the brand new tech we have to worry about. As we're about to see, there are some old ghosts still haunting the airwaves.
You know, if you dig into the technical documents, there's this little mention of a whole category of interferers that people often forget about, but they can cause some major headaches. We're talking about all those various legacy devices still plugged in and running in homes and offices everywhere. Right? These are the ghosts in the spectrum. Think about old 2.4 gigahertz cordless phones, wireless baby monitors, outdated security sensors, all those weird non-compliant peripherals. Here's a quick rule of thumb for you. If it's a wireless device from before, say, 2010, and it isn't Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, you should probably consider it a prime suspect. These older things, they just don't play by modern rules, but they are absolutely still out there, eating up valuable airtime, often in completely unpredictable ways.
So what's the real issue that all of this creates for you out in the field? Well, it's that the diagnosis just isn't simple anymore.
The real problem, the heart of the matter, is coexistence. It's not about one device versus another device anymore. Nope. Now it's about dozens of completely different technologies. New ones, old ones, high power, low power, all just trying to survive in the exact same, very finite space.
And this quote from the RFI Detectives report just nails it perfectly. It's the sheer diversity of all these technologies trying to work at once that creates these incredibly complex and, let's be honest, frustrating challenges for you when you're on the job.
So let's break down why this is so tough. 1, you have these wildly different technologies all competing. 2, they're all fighting over the exact same slice of the unlicensed ISM bands. That's the industrial, scientific, and medical spectrum, basically the public airways anybody can use. And 3, and this one is so important, FCC Part 15 rules actually say these devices are mandated to accept interference, not get rid of it. They literally have to live with the noise, which makes your job of trying to get clean performance that much harder.
So the main thing to take away from all this is simple. When you're out there troubleshooting a network, your list of potential culprits has just expanded dramatically.
You're not just looking for a rogue access point or a microwave oven anymore. No way. You have to be a real detective now, considering things like low-power IoT networks, all those forgotten legacy devices, and just the cumulative, chaotic effect of all these things trying to exist together. You could be hunting for anything from a smart light bulb to a 15-year-old cordless phone.
Okay, so knowing who the new suspects are, that's the first, most critical step. But the real question is, how do you actually find them? How do you catch them in the act? Well, that's where the forensics come in, and we're going to cover exactly that in our next explainer on Chapter 4 of the guide, Symptoms and Diagnostic Tools. We'll see you then.